The Kadrock 4 case is one of hundreds of horrific tales underpinning the brutality of the apartheid state. The democratic government has reopened around 60 cases which will hopefully provide answers for many families whose loved ones disappeared.
Welcome again to another episode of the WSXM podcast, where a united Africa is an undisputed Africa. So, this video I'm about to watch, it's about the apartheid government in 1985 when they murdered 4 apartheid activists, and basically nothing came of it. But listen to the video and to the son of the murdered apartheid activists, and then we'll discuss it after. Boom.
Lucanio Kalata's search for answers about his father Fort Kalata's death may soon be over, as the case has been reopened by the Justice Ministry for further investigation. Fort and his comrades Matthew Goniwe, Sparum Konto and Cicelo Mahluli were killed by apartheid state police in 1985 while returning home from Port Elizabeth. The families have not rested since the callous killings of their loved ones.
Today I am 42 years old. My father, when I was 3 years old when he was killed, and my whole entire life, I've studied, I've become a journalist, I've gotten married, I've all of that. But the thing that drives me more than anything else has been justice for my father. It's a complete injustice, particularly from the government of the African National Congress. We understand that prior to 1994, we could not expect the same government that murdered the Kadrock 4 to hold itself accountable, and give us the justice that we so badly needed. But post-1990 for Africa, we would have expected that the murders of the Kadrock 4 was an issue that was dealt with, within the first 5 years. But it wasn't. My father did not commit any crime. He just fought for my right as a black person to be able to do and say and be whoever God had created me to be. So he was deserving of justice. He remains deserving of justice. And those people that politically interfered and that made these deals, we want them to be exposed.
The Kadrock 4 case is one of hundreds of horrific tales underpinning the brutality of the apartheid state. The democratic government has reopened around 60 cases which will hopefully provide answers for many families whose loved ones disappeared.
So guys, what do you think about that? This is where, and these are some of the things that hurt me and aches me to this day. But before we get into it, let me just talk about this video quick. These 4 guys was murdered. There was activists in 1985. The apartheid government, 6 officers, and they all got acquitted. Basically, nothing came of it because the apartheid government will not prosecute a white man for a black man. That will never happen back then. Here comes 1994 when Mandela became president, the first black president of South Africa, the ANC government. And this is what aches me up to today. We have more stories like this where countless of black people got murdered during apartheid time, and the officers and the government people, the prime minister, the ministers, and all the cover-up that went on. Because these people, not only the officers got away, you have the judge, the lawyer, the government, they all take part in this cover-up. Because it's still unsolvable today, so they're going back to court, which is good. Because now we can find out who will take part in the cover-up. But what aches me, let me just say, Mandela was a very brilliant president. He was a great speaker, but legislate, he wasn't, to me, in my idea, wasn't that good, because he leave all the financial power in the hands of the white people, the same white apartheid government, the big families. Nothing, they didn't lose anything. They gained whenever they lost, because there have been documentaries where the apartheid, there were some of those white families said that if they had known they would make so much money, they'd have given black South Africans the right to vote a long time. So there was no economical growth for black people, even when Mandela take over. But he gave a lot of speeches, and he flew around the world giving great speeches. And I tell you, I would equate Mandela to President Obama, the first black president of America. But he literally did nothing for the black population in America. But he gave brilliant speeches and everyone loves him. It's the same thing with Mandela. He was loved, he gave brilliant speeches, but he didn't legislate economical freedom for Black South Africans, only democracy, and they still have apartheid, they still have separation of the classes up to today. So the first thing Mandela should have done was appoint new judges and look over all those cases, all those murders that take place then, and all the atrocities that happened to Black South Africans then. And now, pointing fact this case, I'm not pointing out this case because maybe he didn't know of it, but I'm pretty sure it was brought to his attention. Because as a president, you're gonna get a full scope of what happened, and he know because Mandela was a lawyer back then as well. But me personally think that while he was in prison, they softened him out, because remember the person who was watching him was a white police officer, and they became great friends. And even when he came out of prison, he went into one of the big white families' house, one of those rich white South African families. I think he lived in their homes. So for me, he was softened. He wasn't that great activist as when he went into prison, but when he came out at his age, he was way more relaxed, more laid back. He had the opportunity again to become friends with some of those said white people. So this is a good move, but I still blame Mandela for some of the, not for some, for all of the economical troubles South Africa had, because he never took action when it comes down to economical preferences for Black. There was no law put on the books for them to become business owners, land owners, get back for the lands to be returned to them. None of that was done. Nothing was done to alleviate their struggle for what they fight for when they fight for democracy. They got democracy without the reward. So he's a great president, don't get me wrong, but he did not do as much as he can, in my opinion, to alleviate the Black struggle up to today. That's why South Africa is in so much turmoil and chaos up to today, because it's run by a puppet of the West. And that's why this year, for the next election, Julius Malema hopefully becomes the next president. We might start to have changes like we have it in Burkina Faso and Mali and Nigeria and those other countries. But I'm happy at least the son will be able to get some form of justice, and hopefully, because the 6 officers passed away, but the people who helped these officers to beat the case, which is co-conspirators, I hope they're still alive and they can pay for their crimes. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section, if you agree with me or not. And as always, tell a friend, like, comment, share, subscribe. Boom.